I came upon the kit plans for the Sikorski S-42 seaplane somewhere in an old magazine. The kit is by Megow. It's a pre-World War II product. I have never heard of the S-42 or of Megow Models, but it's a very interesting looking early transport plane. It has some really interesting construction techniques that I've never seen before. Mr. Sikorski is one of my favorite airplane pioneer designers, and he's a very important large aircraft designer, and I believe the key pioneer in helicopter design. This kit appears to date from before World War II. Based on a YouTube video, I think the S-42 was used by Pan American Airlines to service Central and South American destinations, and was also used to scout the Pacific route, later flown by the Martin China Clipper. The typical solid model was, well, solid. Kits consisted of 5 blocks of wood and a 3-view drawing. Windows were applied later with decals, paint, or paper cutouts. This kit is different in that it attempts to have actual clear windows opening into open, hollow areas that could be detailed as a cabin and cockpit if you were really talented. The assembly starts with 3 levels glued together. The bottom is full length. The top and middle have areas omitted where the cockpit and passenger cabin would be. The assembly was then bandsawed on top and side profiles and carved to shape. The side and of the cockpit areas were relieved to allow clear plastic material to be set flush with the fuselage outer surface. The sides were relieved along the open area to allow a flush installation of the clear plastic. The interior areas were painted. Clear plastic was applied along the sides of the fuselage and in the front of the cockpit. The cockpit area was enclosed by clear plastic sheet folded to form the enclosure. This proved to be a whole lot easier said than done. Here's the plastic installation on the sides in the cockpit. Since the top shape of the wing has no dihedral, it was formed from a single wood board. The wing plan shape with cutouts for the nacelles was cut with a scroll saw, and the cross-sectional shape was carved, well actually belt sanded. The nacelles were turned from a dowel because no dowel in my stash was the right diameter. Flat sections were carved into the sides of the nacelle to fit into the wing. Details of the tail assembly were cut out on a scroll saw, sanded to shape, scribed, and assembled. The components were scribed, primed, and painted before assembly. Since both the wing and tail assemblies are mounted on pylons above the fuselage to keep them out of spray of waves, the jig was necessary to keep everything in place while the glue dried. Struts and outboard floats were installed. I ended up using plastic struts because I was breaking the wood struts as fast as I was installing them. Made one tiny 3-bladed propeller, but it was so fragile and ugly I decided to give up on mounting any. I also gave up on mounting any external wire bracing because it would have been about the scale of a human hair, and that's way beyond my capability. Even though I had primed, sanded, and reprimed the aircraft before final paint, the aluminum paint job seemed to show every air and change of texture in the wood. I had primed the aircraft well, but it didn't help much. I then remembered that as a kid I had sprayed the aircraft with automobile primer, which was thick enough to help solve this problem. I decided it was too late now. As usual, I could have done a lot better if I'd worked a lot slower. Oh well, thanks for watching.